We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Trump administration orders 10% of flights cut at 40 busiest airports starting on Friday as the US government shutdown continues to cause staffing shortages. US Supreme Court cast a doubt on legality of Trump's global tariffs under emergency law. Trump says it would be devastating if they lost the case. Death toll from cargo plane crash in Kentucky rises to 12. Investigators find black boxes, conclude that one of the engines caught fire and detached during takeoff, causing the accident. First phase of assembly elections in the state of Bihar today. 121 constituencies go to vote across 18 districts in one of the most fiercely run election campaigns. Indian Navy to commission indigenously built INS Ikshak on Thursday at Kochi to boost hydrographic survey capabilities. And on to the details now. The Trump administration announced on Wednesday that it will cut the scheduled capacity for flights by 10% from Friday morning as the government grapples with ongoing shutdown. Now, the U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said that he would order 10% of flights at 40 major U.S. airports to be cut starting on Friday unless a deal to end the federal government shutdown is reached. Now, Duffy warned that if the shutdown continued another week, it could lead to mass chaos and force him to close some of the national airspace to air traffic.
I anticipate there will be additional disruptions. There will be frustration. We are working with the airlines. They're going to work with passengers. But in the end, our sole role is to make sure that we keep this airspace as safe as possible. The administrator is going to talk about all of the tools we're going to deploy. One of them, though, is going to be that there is going to be a 10% reduction in capacity at 40 of our locations.
Well, the shutdown now in its 36th day and the longest in U.S. history has forced 13,000 air traffic controllers and 50,000 transportation security administration agents to work without pay. This has worsened staff shortages, caused widespread flight delays and extended lines at airport security screening. Now, the cuts were expected to hit the 30 busiest airports, including those serving New York City, Washington, D.C., Chicago, Atlanta, Los Angeles and Dallas. Also, the federal government has mostly closed as Republicans and Democrats are locked in a standoff in Congress over a funding bill. Also, the Democrats have insisted they would not approve a plan that does not extend health insurance subsidies, while Republicans have rejected that. President Donald Trump and Republicans have been trying to intensify pressure on Democrats by increasing the pain felt by average Americans from the government shutdown. And President Trump's global tariffs appeared to be on shaky ground after Supreme Court justices on Wednesday casted doubt on legality of President Trump's global tariffs under emergency law. Conservative and liberal justices alike sharply questioned the lawyer representing Trump's administration about Trump's use of emergency powers to impose tariffs on imports from nearly every U.S. trading partner. In a hearing lasting more than 2.5 hours, several conservative justices questioned whether the International Emergency Economic Powers Act that Trump invoked confers the authority to impose tariffs. Solicitor General John Shore, arguing on behalf of the Trump administration, said this did not apply given the president's inherent broad range of authorities. Meanwhile, responding to the Supreme Court hearing on tariff, Trump said it would be devastating if they lost the case. And the United States Federal Aviation Safety investigators have located black box recorders from the wreckage of a UPS cargo plane that crashed in Louisville, Kentucky, killing at least 12 people. Now, Todd Inman, a member of the National Transportation Safety Board, also confirmed that a large plume of fire erupted around the plane's left wing and that one of its 3 engines detached from that wing. Inman, in the first NTSB briefing since the disaster, said the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder appeared to be intact when located. He added, so far there was no evidence of a link between the accident and the government shutdown. The 34-year-old MD-11 freighter was bound for Honolulu with 3 crew members aboard when it crashed just after clearing a fence at the end of the runway during takeoff on Tuesday evening. The international airport in Louisville reopened to air traffic on Wednesday, although the runway where the accident happened is expected to remain closed for another 10 days. And Boeing reached a last-minute settlement in one of 2 lawsuits in this week's trial in Chicago over a 2019 737 MAX crash that killed 157 people. The deal leaves a single plaintiff remaining in the first civil trial over the March 2019 Ethiopian Airlines crash, which began in earnest on Wednesday after attorneys on Tuesday finalized jury selection. The lawsuits stem from the March 10, 2019 flight that crashed 6 minutes after departing Addis Ababa for Nairobi, killing all 157 people on board. Family members of 155 victims filed lawsuits between April 2019 and March 2021, alleging wrongful death and negligence, among other claims. Alonso has been splitting the cases into groups with 5 or 6 plaintiffs at a time. In prior rounds, the judge has cancelled proceedings after all the cases in a group settled. And the latest had over to take place under a U.S.-brokered ceasefire. A body of the deceased hostage was transferred into Israel on Wednesday and arrived at the National Forensics Institute for identification. The office in the statement said Israel's Forensics Authority will confirm the identity of the remains, and if proven to belong to a hostage, there would be 6 remaining deceased hostages in Gaza now. Under a ceasefire deal that took effect on October 10th, Hamas turned over all 20 living hostages held in Gaza. In exchange, Israel freed hundreds of Palestinian prisoners in its custody. Meanwhile, Israel has accused Hamas of dragging its feet in returning the bodies of deceased hostages, while the Palestinian group says the process is slow because many are buried beneath Gaza's rubble. And Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered his top officials on Wednesday to draft proposals for a possible test of nuclear weapons, something Moscow has not done since the 1991 collapse of the Soviet Union. The order was a further signal that the 2 countries with the world's largest nuclear arsenal are rapidly nearing a step that could sharply escalate geopolitical tensions. Russia-US relations have deteriorated sharply in the past few weeks as Trump has cancelled a planned summit with Putin and imposed sanctions on Russia for the first time since returning to the White House in January. Putin issued his instruction at a meeting of a Security Council responding to President Donald Trump's announcement last week that the U.S. would resume testing.
I am instructing the Foreign Ministry, the Defense Ministry, the Special Services and relevant civilian agencies to do everything possible to collect additional information on the issue, analyze it at the Security Council, and make agreed proposals on the possible start of work on the preparation of nuclear weapons tests.
Well, U.S. President Donald Trump warned on Wednesday that the United States would cut all the aid to Nigeria and potentially intervene militarily if the country did not halt the persecution and killing of the Christians.
The Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians. The USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria. We're going to do things to Nigeria that Nigeria is not going to be happy about and may very well go into that now disgraced country, guns are blazing, to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible, horrible atrocities. I'm hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action. Warning, the Nigerian government better move fast before it's too late. If they don't, there's going to be hell to pay.
Meanwhile, Nigeria's government rejected its designation by the United States as a country of particular concern over alleged religious freedom violations, saying the move was based on misinformation and faulty data.
Recent external claims suggesting systemic religious persecution in Nigeria are unfounded. The recent designation of Nigeria as country of particular concern based on speculations of religious persecution is fundamentally misinformed.
Well, last week, Trump put Nigeria back on a list of countries that have violated religious freedom. On 1st of November, he had asked the Defense Department to prepare for possible fast military action if Nigeria does not crack down on the killing of the Christians. Washington's decision to designate Nigeria as a violator of religious freedom has strained diplomatic ties between the two countries. And a violent clash over water between two communities has killed at least 33 people in a village in Chad on Wednesday. Chad's public television reported that fighting between communities from Bahr el Ghazal and Hajer Lemes provinces over a disputed well left 33 people dead and several others injured. It also stated that several ministers, senior local officials and an army contingent have been deployed to the area. The area had faced similar incidents in 1999 and 2004, resulting in dozens of victims. And Rodrigo Paz Pereira received his credentials as President of Bolivia on Wednesday in a ceremony held in Sucre, the nation's constitutional capital. Paz and Vice President-elect Edmund Lara were formally certified by the Supreme Electoral Tribunal, marking the official confirmation of their electoral victory. The President-elect won the presidency in his first presidential campaign. He secured victory in the first round and went on to win the October 19th runoff against former President George Quiroga with 54% of the vote. Paz's inauguration is scheduled for Saturday in La Paz. It will mark the beginning of a new presidential term, closing a 20-year cycle of governance by the leftist movement towards Socialism Party. And after a year of talks, COP30 host Brazil laid out a plan to scale climate finance to $1.3 trillion a year and faced several early signs of the testing political backdrop as the Amazonian city of Belém prepares to welcome the world leaders. The near 100-page document, dubbed the Baku to Belém Roadmap, follows months of talks with stakeholders since the close of last year's event in Azerbaijan. Providing more finance is central to maintaining trust in multilateral climate efforts as emissions continue to rise, leaving some of the poorest countries at more risk of extreme weather events. Yet the push to rein in emissions took a fresh knock overnight as the EU agreed a final hour deal to cut emissions by 90% by the year 2040. And Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado spoke at the American Business Forum on Wednesday, emphasizing Venezuela's potential to transform into an energy and technology hub. She also highlighted a $1.7 trillion investment opportunity in oil, gas and innovation sectors. Machado, the recent Nobel Peace Prize recipient, urged global backing against what she described as the Nicolas Maduro's criminal regime. She also praised international efforts to bolster democracy in Venezuela and proposed restoring rule of law and transparency to strengthen regional relations with countries like Brazil, Colombia and Mexico. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. India-EU free trade talks gain momentum as key officials meet in New Delhi. India unveils AI governance guidelines to foster safe innovation, celebrates winners of AI hackathon. And India and Australia meet again with an eye on series lead in the 4th T20 International at Kerala.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, India-EU free trade agreement discussions have intensified with India's Commerce Secretary Rajesh Agrawal meeting European Commission Director General for Trade Sabin Weyand in New Delhi on Wednesday. The focus was on core areas including trade in goods, trade in services, rules of origin amongst others, along with technical and institutional matter. Now, both the sides reviewed progress and reaffirmed commitment to conclude a balanced and mutually beneficial agreement by the year end 2025. Now, the meeting comes 3 days after Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal held a virtual productive meeting with EU Commissioner for Trade and Economic Security and Commissioner for Agriculture and Food and Minister's October visit to Brussels. Now, these consultations reaffirm the commitment of both the sides to intensify engagement and facilitate a fair and balanced agreement, fostering trade, investment, innovation and sustainable growth. Well, after hectic rounds of campaigning, India's eastern state of Bihar is geared up for the first phase of polling in 121 constituencies, which is set to decide the fate of the 2-decade-long Nitish Kumar-led NDA government in the state. Now, the first phase of polling, around 3.75 crore voters, will decide the fate of 1,314 candidates across 18 districts. Polling is being held across 121 seats in the 243-seat Bihar Assembly. The central themes of the electoral battle this time are both pressing and complex: unemployment, outmigration, corruption, and the decline of education and healthcare dominate the discourse. Now, Thursday's election will decide the fate of several high-profile candidates, including RJD's Tejashwi Yadav, BJP leaders Samrat Chaudhary and Mangal Pandey, and JDU Ashravan Kumar and Vijay Kumar Chaudhary. Tej Pratap Yadav, who have floated his own party, is also in the fray from the Mahua seat. Now, voting for the phase 2 will take place on November 11th, while counting of votes will take place on the 14th of November. Well, India's maritime capabilities are set to get a powerful upgrade. The Navy's all geared to induct a new state-of-the-art hydrographic survey vessel, one that will strengthen navigational safety and support missions across our seas. Let's take a look at the arrival of Ikshak, the latest addition to the Navy's survey fleet.
The Indian Navy is set to significantly boost its hydrographic survey strength with the commissioning of Ikshak, the third vessel of the survey vessel class and the first to be based at Southern Naval Command. Chief of Naval Staff Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi will formally induct the ship into service at Kochi Naval Base on November 6, 2025. Built by Garden Reach shipbuilders and engineers in Kolkata, Ikshak stands as a powerful symbol of Atmanirbhar Bharat. With more than 80% indigenous content, the ship reflects India's growing shipbuilding capabilities. Named after the Sanskrit word of guide, Ikshak is designed to map both coastal and deep sea waters with high precision. The survey conducted by the vessel will help ensure safer navigation through ports, harbors, and key maritime routes. Packed with cutting-edge hydrographic and oceanographic technology, Ikshak is equipped with a high-resolution multi-beam echo sounder, autonomous and remotely operated underwater vehicles, and 4 survey motorboats. A helicopter deck further expands its operational flexibility. The commissioning of Ikshak marks a major stride in the Navy's mission to strengthen its survey and charting infrastructure. Ready to chart the unknown, this indigenously built vessel will play a frontline role in safeguarding India's maritime frontiers. Bureau Report, DD India.
While Union Minister for Labour and Employment Dr. Mansukh Mandavia delivered a keynote address at the plenary session of Second World Summit for Social Development in Qatar's capital, Doha. Dr. Mandavia said that Pakistan has repeatedly misused the Indus Water Treaty mechanisms to obstruct India's legitimate projects.
पाकिस्तान द्वारा भारत के बारे में कल की गई कुछ अनुचित बातों पर कड़ी आपत्ति जताते हैं। यह एक अंतर्राष्ट्रीय फोरम का गलत इस्तेमाल है, जिसका मकसद भारत के खिलाफ गलत जानकारी फैलाकर सोशल डेवलपमेंट के एजेंडा से दुनिया का ध्यान भटकाना है। पाकिस्तान ने सस्टेन्ड हॉस्टिलिटी और क्रॉस बॉर्डर टेररिज्म से इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी की स्पिरिट को कमजोर किया है। उसने भारत के लेजिटिमेट प्रोजेक्ट में रुकावट डालने के लिए ट्रीटी मैकेनिज्म का बार-बार गलत इस्तेमाल किया है।
Well, the Ministry of Electronics, Information and Technology unveiled the guidelines of India's AI governance, enabling safe and trusted innovation, a key milestone in India's AI mission. The event, organized in New Delhi, was attended by Secretary Ministry of Electronics, Information and Technology, S. Krishnan, Professor Ajay Kumar Sood, Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, were amongst other dignitaries in attendance.
We really want to have a guiding principle which is said, do no harm. That's, I think, the 3 words which define the guiding thing on this, and whatever it needs to do using technology for regulation and making sandboxes, risk mitigation in various forms, and not something which is written in stone.
Well, additionally, the event also announced the winners of the India AI GSI Mineral Targeting with AI Hackathon and felicitated them with 5 lakhs to 10 lakh rupees with a special prize for all women teams to encourage diversity and inclusion. And on to some sports news now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi hosted the Champions of Women's World Cup at his residence in New Delhi on Wednesday. Prime Minister congratulated the team for the victory and praised their remarkable comeback in the tournament after a string of 3 defeats and trolling they had faced on social media. Captain Harmanpreet Kaur recalled meeting Prime Minister in 2017 without the trophy, and now that they have met him with the trophy, they wished to meet him more often. Vice Captain Smriti Mandhana said Prime Minister had motivated them and has been an inspiration for all of them. She also spoke about how girls are doing well in all the fields. Harmanpreet asked Prime Minister how he manages to always remain in the present. Prime Minister said being so has been a part of his life and it has become his habit. Prime Minister Modi also asked them to take forward the message of Fit India, especially among the girls across the country. He discussed the growing problem of obesity and highlighted the importance of being fit. He also asked them to go to their schools and motivate the young minds there. And now India will aim to take a lead in the series as they take on Australia in the fourth T20 match in Gold Coast on Thursday. All-rounder Nitish Kumar Reddy, who missed the first 3 matches due to injury, could make a comeback. The 21-year-old took part in the training on Wednesday. India bowling coach Morne Morkel said the youngster will be assessed after the session to check his progress. India will be without Kuldeep Yadav as he has been sent back home to prepare for the Test series against South Africa. Meanwhile, Travis Head has also left the Australian squad to gear up for the Ashes. The series is currently tied at 1-1 after the first game was washed out. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world in the DD India mobile app. The app is available in both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.